Every successful person you admire, every single one of them, there was a moment where they did not feel like doing what needed to be done. There was a morning when they did not want to get out of bed. There was a phone call they did not want to make. There was a meeting they did not want to walk into. There was a risk they did not want to take. You think people who build empires are always motivated. You think they wake up every day full of energy and excitement. Let me tell you something they do not. The difference between people who win and people who wish is simple. Winners make decisions. Wishers make excuses. That is it. That is the whole formula. A winner says, I do not feel like it, but I am going to do it anyway. A wisher says, I do not feel like it, so I will try again tomorrow. And tomorrow turns into next week. And next week turns into next month. And next month turns into next year. And before you know it, you have spent a decade wishing for something you could have built if you had just stopped waiting to feel ready. Feelings do not build empires. Decisions do. Let me say that again because some of you are still stuck on the first part. Feelings do not build anything. Decisions build everything. You think every great company was started by somebody who felt confident the whole time. You think every great book was written by somebody who was inspired every single day. You think every great marriage survives because both people fell in love every moment. No, those things were built by people who made a decision and then honored that decision, even when their emotions told them to quit. You have got to stop saying, I was not in the mood. You have got to stop saying, I was not inspired. You have got to stop saying, I did not feel like it. Because every time those words come out of your mouth, you are announcing to the universe that your feelings are in charge. And the universe responds accordingly. It says, okay, if you want to be led by your feelings, here is more chaos, here is more confusion, here is more inconsistency. Because that is what feelings produce when they are in the driver's seat. Chaos, confusion, and inconsistency. Decisions create direction. Decisions create momentum. Decisions create results. When you decide something and you commit to it, regardless of how you feel, you send a signal to everything around you that you are serious. Opportunities start showing up. The right people start appearing. Doors start opening. Not because the universe is magical, but because a person with a decision moves differently than a person with a wish. A person with a decision walks into a room with authority. A person with a wish walks into a room hoping somebody notices them. I want you to ask yourself right now what decision you've been putting off because you do not feel ready. What phone call have you been avoiding because it makes you uncomfortable? What step have you been refusing to take because fear has frozen you frozen? Whatever it is, I need you to understand that the feeling of readiness may never come. Most people who changed the world were terrified when they started. They did it scared. They did it uncertainly. They did it emotionally, but they did it. And that is the part that matters, not how you felt, but what you did despite how you felt. You know exactly who you are. Some of you have given your entire emotional state to another human being. You have handed somebody the remote control to your joy. You have given somebody the password to your place. And now they are just flipping channels on your life while you sit there confused and hurt, wondering why you cannot find stability. You say things like, she made me angry. No, you chose anger. You say he ruined my day. No, you gave him your day. He did not steal it. You handed it over. You say they stressed me out. No, you invited that stress in. You set it down on your couch. You offered it something to drink. You let it put its feet up and get comfortable. And now you are wondering why your house does not feel like home anymore. It is because you let a stranger redecorate your entire emotional space. Nobody, and I mean nobody on this planet should have that kind of access to your spirit. You've got to start charging admission to your place. You've got to start putting a velvet rope around your joy. You have got to start treating your emotional well, being like it is a VIP section. And most people do not qualify for access. Most people have not earned the right to affect how you feel. But you keep letting them in for free like your peace is a public park. I used to be that person. I used to let everybody and their mama have a say in how my day went. If somebody was rude to me in the morning, my whole day was ruined. If somebody criticized me, I would replay it for weeks. If somebody I loved disappointed me, I would spiral into a dark place and stay there. I was giving away my power in handfuls every single day, and then wondering why I felt so empty by nightfall. It took me years to realize that the emptiness was not because life was hard. It was because I kept giving pieces of myself to people who did not even want them. When you start protecting your energy, people are going to call you cold. They're going to say you changed. They're going to say you think you are better than everybody else. Let them talk. Because those are usually the same people who were draining you in the first place. They do not miss your presence. They miss their access. They miss being able to push your buttons and get a reaction. They miss having control over your mood. And when you take that away from them, they will try to guilt you into giving it back. Do not fall for it. Your peace is not selfish. Let me say that again. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. It is survival. It is the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. You cannot build a good career on a broken spirit. You cannot raise healthy children with a chaotic mind. You cannot love somebody properly when you have not secured your own emotional house. Everything starts with your peace. Everything flows from it. And if you keep letting people pollute the source, everything downstream is going to be contaminated. I want you to start today. I want you to start paying attention to who drains you and who fills you. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people. Pay attention to who leaves you feeling lighter and who leaves you feeling heavier. Because your energy is not unlimited. You do not have an infinite supply. Every person you interact with is either depositing into your emotional bank account or withdrawing from it. And some of you are overdrawn. Some of you are emotionally bankrupt because you have been letting the wrong people make withdrawals for years. I know some of you are hurting right now. I know that. I can feel it in this room. And I'm not standing up here dismissing your pain. I have been broke. I have been broken. I have been so low that looking up felt like exercise. I have been in places so dark that I could not see my own hand in front of my face. So when I say I understand, I am not just saying words. I have lived in that darkness. I have paid rent in that darkness. And that is exactly why I can stand here today and tell you that it does not last. Pain has an address, but is not your address. You are just visiting. You are passing through. But some of you have moved in. You have unpacked your bags in your pain. You have hung up pictures on the walls. You have changed your mailing address to Misery Lane. You have gotten comfortable in a place that was never supposed to be your home. And now you cannot even imagine life without the heaviness because it has become so familiar that it feels normal. But let me tell you something. Just because something is familiar does not mean it is where you belong. Pain was supposed to be a rest stop. You were supposed to pull over, learn the lesson, catch your breath, and get back on the highway. But instead, you parked the car, turned off the engine, and set up camp. You built a whole life around your trauma. You built an identity around your wounds. You introduce yourself with your pain. You lead every conversation with what happened to you. And I understand why. When you have been hurt that deeply, it becomes part of your story. But you have got to understand that the chapter about your pain is not the whole book. I have watched people carry the same hurt for 10, 15, or 20 years. And every year it gets heavier. Not because the situation is getting worse, but because they refuse to put it down. They are walking through life with a backpack full of bricks, wondering why their knees are giving out, wondering why they are tired all the time, wondering why they cannot keep up with everybody else. It is not because you are weak. It is because you are carrying weight that was supposed to be temporary, and you turned it into a permanent load. Pain is a teacher, not a landlord. Let me say that one more time because I need it to get past your ears and into your spirit. Pain is a teacher, not a landlord. You do not owe any monthly payments. You do not owe it to your future. You owe it one thing, and that is attention. Pay attention to what it is trying to show you. Learn the lesson it came to teach, and then let it go. Not because it did not matter, it mattered. Not because it did not hurt, it hurt deeply. But because holding on to it is hurting you more than the original wound ever did. I know letting go sounds simple, and I know it is not. I know there are layers to healing, and I know it takes time. I am not standing up here telling you to smile and pretend everything is fine. I am telling you to make a conscious decision that the pain from your past is not going to dictate the direction of your future. You can acknowledge it. You can honor it. You can even grieve it. But you cannot let it drive. Not anymore. Not after everything you have survived. You did not make it this far just to set up camp in the valley, when the mountaintop is right there in front of you. Some of you need to hear that it is okay to move forward, because somewhere along the way, somebody made you feel guilty for healing. Somebody made you feel like moving on meant you were forgetting. Somebody made you feel like being happy again was a betrayal of what you went through. And that is one of the most dangerous lies the enemy will ever tell you. Moving forward is not forgetting. Moving forward is honoring every tear you cried by refusing to let it be the end of your story. Your pain brought you here, but your purpose is what is going to carry you out. This next part right here is going to make some of you really uncomfortable. And I am glad about that, because comfort has not been doing you any favors. You have been praying. You have been on your knees asking God to change your life. You have been begging for new doors, new opportunities, new relationships. You said, God, remove what is not for me. God, take away anything that is blocking my blessing. God, shake up my whole world if that is what it takes. And then God started doing exactly what you asked. He started removing people. He started closing doors. He started disrupting your comfort zone. He started shaking the very foundation you had been standing on. And what did you do? You got emotional. You panicked. You cried. You started begging God to bring back the very thing he was trying to save you from. You started questioning his plan because it did not look the way you expected it to look. You wanted a renovation, but you did not want any demolition. Let me explain something to you about how God works. When you ask for a new life, the old one has got to go. You cannot remodel a house without tearing down some walls. You cannot plant a new garden without pulling up old roots. You cannot step into your next season while you are still clinging to your last one. Something has got to break. Something has got to fall apart. Something has got to end. And that is not God punishing you. That is God answering your prayer in a way your emotions are not ready to understand. You ask God why he took your job. He took it because he has a career waiting for you that is 10 times bigger than anything you were settling for. You ask God why that person left. They left because they were standing in the doorway of your destiny, and there was no room for both of you to walk through. You ask God why it hurts so bad. It hurts because surgery always hurts before the healing begins. The doctor does not cut you open to destroy you. He cuts you open to remove what is killing you. And yes, it hurts. And yes, there is blood. And yes, there is recovery time. But what comes after is health, strength, and a version of you that the sickness could never have produced. The problem is that most people want the blessing without the breaking. They want the glory without the story. They want the testimony without the test. But that is not how any of this works. Every person who has ever been greatly by God was first deeply by life. Every person. There are no exceptions. The breaking is not optional. It is required. It is the process by which you are shaped into someone strong enough to carry what God is about to place in your hands. Stop crying about the demolition and start getting excited about the construction. Stop mourning the old walls and start envisioning the new rooms. Stop grieving the people who left and start preparing for the people who are coming. Because what God is building in your life right now is so much bigger than what he tore down. But you will never see it if your eyes are full of tears over what used to be. Wipe your face, straighten your back, and trust the architect He has never built anything that was not worth the wait. I know it takes faith. I know it takes a kind of trust that feels impossible when everything around you is falling apart. But that is exactly when faith is supposed to show up. Faith is not faith when everything is going great. Anybody can believe in God when the sun is shining and the bills are paid and the family is healthy. Real faith is when the storm is raging and the account is empty and the diagnosis is bad. And you still look up and say, I trust you. That is the kind of faith that moves mountains. That is the kind of faith that scares the enemy. And that is the kind of faith your emotions will try to talk you out of every single time. Now, let us talk about your friends for a minute, because this is a long overdue conversation. Some of you are surrounded by people who feed your dysfunction. You call them up when you are upset, and instead of telling you the truth, they validate your mess. They say things like you are right, they are wrong, you do not deserve that, you should leave, you should quit, you should give up. And it feels good in the moment, because that is exactly what your emotions wanted to hear. But it is not what you needed to hear. What you needed was the truth. You do not need a cheerleader, you need a coach. A cheerleader is on the sideline, jumping up and down, telling you how great you are, no matter what is happening on the field. A coach is in your face, telling you what you did wrong, what you need to fix, and how to do it better next time. A cheerleader makes you feel good. A coach makes you get better. And if you look around your circle and all you see are cheerleaders, you need to understand that you are surrounded by people who are more interested in keeping you comfortable than helping you grow. If everybody in your circle agrees with everything you do not have friends. You have fans, and fans do not help you grow. Fans clap while you repeat the same mistakes on a bigger stage. Fans laugh at jokes that are not funny. Fans tell you what you want to hear because they are afraid that telling you the truth will cost them their seat at your table. But a real friend will risk the friendship to save your life. A real friend will tell you that you are wrong, even when everybody else is telling you that you are right. A real friend loves you enough to make you uncomfortable. Emotional people attract emotional people. That is just how it works. If you are always in crisis, you are going to attract people who thrive in crisis. If you are always complaining, you are going to attract people who love to complain. And before you know it, you have got a whole group of people spiraling together, calling it support. But it does not support. It is a sinking ship with a buddy system. Everybody is drowning, but at least you are drowning together. That is not friendship. That is codependency wearing a friendship bracelet. You need people in your life who are where you want to be. You need people who challenge your thinking, who expand your vision, who refuse to let you play small. You need people who make you feel slightly uncomfortable because they are operating at a level you have not reached yet. That discomfort is growth. That discomfort is stretching. That discomfort is exactly what your spirit needs to evolve into the person you were created to be. So stop looking for people who make you feel comfortable and start looking for people who make you feel challenged. I know it is lonely when you start leveling up. I know it hurts when the phone stops ringing. I know it is scary when the circle gets smaller. But let me tell you something that I wish somebody had told me years ago. A small circle of the right people will take you further than a large crowd of the wrong ones. You do not need 100 friends. You need 3 or 4 real ones who will pray with you, push you, correct you, and celebrate you. Quality will always beat quantity when it comes to the people you allow in your inner world. Always. Now, let me share a secret with you. And I am calling it a secret because nobody knows it, but because so few people actually live by it. The secret to everything I have ever accomplished in my life is this. I did not feel like doing any of it. Not a single bit. I did not feel like getting up before the sun. I did not feel like smiling when I was dying inside. I did not feel like being kind to people who were cruel to me. I did not feel like pushing forward when every sign, every circumstance, and every voice in my head was telling me to give up. But I did it anyway That is discipline. That is the whole secret. There is no magic formula. There is no special gift that some people have and others do not. There is no shortcut, no hack, no cheat code. Discipline is simply doing the thing when every fiber of your being says do not. It is getting out of bed when the bed feels like the safest place in the world. It is making the call when your hands are shaking. It is walking into the room when your knees feel weak. It is saying yes to the opportunity when your fear is screaming no. Most people think that successful individuals are just more motivated. They think there is some endless well of inspiration that high achievers drink from every morning. But that is a lie. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. One day you are fired up and ready to conquer the world, and the next day you cannot even conquer your alarm clock. If you build your life on motivation alone, you are building on sand. And when the storm comes, and it will come, everything you built is going to wash away. Discipline is different. Discipline does not care how you feel. Discipline does not check in with your emotions before it shows up. Discipline says, I know you are tired. Let us go. I know you are scared. Let us go. I know you do not see the results yet, but let us go. Discipline is the friend that drags you to the gym when you would rather stay on the couch. Discipline is the voice that says do it now when everything else in you is saying do it later. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. I want you to stop waiting to feel ready. I need you to hear that and really absorb it. Stop waiting to feel ready because you may never feel ready. The most important things in life will never feel comfortable before you do them. Starting the business will not feel comfortable. Having the hard conversation will not feel comfortable. Leaving the toxic situation will not feel comfortable. Betting on yourself will not feel comfortable. But comfort was never the goal. Growth is the goal. And growth always starts where comfort ends. You have been treating motivation like it is the engine when it is really just the ignition. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the engine. One gets things started. The other keeps things running. And you need both. But if you had to choose discipline every single time. Because there will be days when the spark does not come. There will be weeks when you feel absolutely nothing. And in those moments, the only thing standing between you and quitting is the discipline you built when times were good. Every morning you have a choice. You can let your feelings dictate your actions, or you can let your commitments dictate your actions. The person you are trying to become does not have the luxury of being led by emotion. The person you are trying to become shows up regardless. The person you are trying to become does the work whether they feel appreciated or not, whether they see the results or not, whether anybody is watching or not. That is who you need to become. Not someone who feels like it, but someone who does it whether they feel like it or not. This next one is heavy, so I need everybody to brace themselves because we are about to go somewhere deep. Some of you are carrying unforgiveness like it is a trophy. You are holding on to what somebody did to you 5, 10, 15, or 20 years ago. And every single day you wake up and you pick up that weight and you carry it with you everywhere you go, to work, to church, to your relationships, to your bed at night. You carry it like it is your responsibility to remember every detail of how they hurt you. And every single day that unforgiveness is poisoning you from the inside out. It is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You are the one suffering. You are the one losing sleep. You are the one with the tight chest and the racing thoughts and the bitterness that seeps into every conversation. The person who hurt you has moved on. They are out there living their life. They are at brunch right now, laughing with their friends. They slept 8 hours last night, and you are the one still awake at 3 a.m, replaying an offense that happened a decade ago. Unforgiveness is emotional suicide. I do not say that lightly. I say it because I have watched it destroy people. I have watched it eat away at good hearts. I have watched it turn loving, kind, generous people into bitter, angry, suspicious shells of who they used to be. And the worst part is that they do not even realize what is happening because the transformation is so gradual. One day, you wake up and you do not recognize yourself anymore, and you think life did that to you. But it was not life. It was the unforgiveness you refused to let go of. You are keeping yourself in an emotional prison, and the door is not even locked. You just refuse to walk out. You have convinced yourself that holding on to the anger is somehow protecting you. You think that if you forgive them, it means what they did was okay. You think that if you let it go, it means they win. But that is not how forgiveness works. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was acceptable. Forgiveness means you are not going to let what they did control you anymore. It is not a gift to them. It is a gift to yourself. I had to learn this the hard way. There were people in my life who hurt me so deeply that I thought I would never recover. People I trusted who betrayed me. People I loved who abandoned me. People I helped who turned around and tried to destroy me. And I held on to that anger for years because I thought it was justified. And maybe it was. But justified or not, it was killing me. It was affecting my health, my relationships, my career, my sleep, my joy. The anger was justified, but it was also destructive. And at some point, I had to choose between being right and being free. I chose free, and it was not easy. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. Some days I would wake up, and the anger would be right there waiting for me like an old friend. And I would have to choose again to let it go. And again, it took time. It took prayer. It took a level of honesty with myself that was deeply uncomfortable. But slowly, piece by piece, the weight started to lift. And for the first time in years, I could breathe. I could smile without forcing it. I could sleep without waking up in a sweat. That is what forgiveness gave me. Not a pass for the other person, but freedom for myself. If you are sitting in this room right now, holding on to something that someone did to you, I am asking you to consider the possibility that letting go is not a weakness. It is the strongest thing you will ever do. It takes no strength to hold a grudge. Anybody can do that. It takes incredible strength to look at someone who wounded you and say, I release you. Not for your sake, for mine. That is power. That is maturity. That is the kind of emotional discipline that separates people who are stuck from free people. And I want you to be free more than I want you to be right. Never make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. I will repeat it. Never make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. This single principle, if you apply it consistently, will save you from more regret than you can imagine. It will save your relationships. It will save your career. It will save your reputation. It will save your peace. This one principle is worth more than everything else I say combined. You quit your job because you had a bad day. Now you are unemployed for 6 months. You cursed out your family because you were angry. Now Thanksgiving is awkward for the next decade. You sent that text at midnight because you were in your feelings. Now you cannot take it back, and you look desperate. You ended a good relationship because of a temporary argument. Now you are alone or wondering how you let the best thing in your life walk away over something that would not have mattered a week later. Temporary emotions create permanent consequences if you are not careful. And the problem is that in the moment, the emotion feels anything but temporary. When you are angry, it feels like you will be angry forever. When you are sad, it feels like the sadness will never end. When you are hurt, it feels like the pain is your new permanent state. But it is not. Emotions are like the weather. They change. They always change. The storm that feels like it will never end always ends. But the decisions you make during the storm, they'll stick around long after the clouds have cleared. When you are angry, wait. When you are sad, wait. When you are overly excited, wait. When you feel an overwhelming urge to do something drastic, wait. Give yourself 24 hours. Give yourself 48 hours. Give yourself a week if you need to. Let the emotion pass through you like a wave, and then, when the water is still, make your decision with a clear head and a calm heart. Because the person you are when you are emotional is not the real you. That is a temporary version of you operating under extreme conditions. Do not let that version make choices that the real you has to live with. I have made decisions in anger that took me years to recover from. I have said things in frustration that I can never unsay. I have burned bridges in the heat of the moment that I desperately needed later. And every single time I look back at those moments, I think to myself, if I had just waited, if I had just taken a breath, if I had just slept on it, the outcome would have been completely different. Not because the situation would have changed, but because I would have changed. Time has a way of giving you perspective that emotion steals from you. Think about it like this. Emotions are like waves and decisions are like anchors. Waves move, they rise and fall. They crash and they recede. They are powerful in the moment, but they are temporary by nature. Anchors are different. Anchors are heavy. They sink to the bottom. They stay put. When you make a decision, you are dropping an anchor. You are setting something in place that is not easily moved. So why would you drop an anchor based on a wave? Why would you set something permanent in motion based on something that is going to change in a matter of hours or days? Train yourself to recognize when you are emotional. Train yourself to pause before you respond. Train yourself to say, let me think about that and get back to you. Train yourself to put the phone down instead of typing that response. Train yourself to walk away from the argument instead of trying to win it. Because winning the argument is not winning if it costs you the relationship. Being right is not being right if it destroys your peace. And making a point is not worth making if it comes at the expense of making progress. Now hear me carefully on what I am about to say, because I need to make an important distinction. I am not talking about clinical depression. If you are dealing with a chemical imbalance, if you need professional help, please go get it. There is no shame in therapy. There is no shame in counseling. There is no shame in medication. Handle your mental health with the same urgency you would handle a broken bone. You would not try to walk off a broken leg, so do not try to walk off a broken mind. Get the help you need. But some of you are not depressed. You are distracted. There is a difference. Depression is a condition. Distraction is a choice. And some of you have chosen distraction for so long that it has started to feel like depression. You are not sad because something is chemically wrong. You are sad because you are disconnected from your purpose. You are empty because you have been filling your time with things that do not fill your soul. You are tired because you are spending all your energy on things that do not matter, while the things that do matter sit untouched in the corner of your life, collecting dust. You are distracted by relationships that have nothing to do with your destiny. You are pouring time and energy into people and situations that are leading you nowhere. You are distracted by social media, spending hours scrolling through other people's highlight reels and comparing their chapter 20 to your chapter 1. You are distracted by entertainment when you should be building. You are distracted by comfort when you should be grinding. You are distracted by the approval of others when the only approval you need comes from above. And because you have been distracted for so long, you have drifted away from your purpose. And a person without purpose does not experience sadness in the traditional sense. They experience emptiness, a void, a hollow feeling in the center of their chest that nothing seems to fill. No amount of Netflix, no amount of scrolling, no amount of shopping, no amount of eating, no amount of partying, no amount of sleeping is going to fill that void, because that void is shaped like your purpose. And only your purpose fits in that space. I went through a season in my life where I felt completely lost. I was doing things, I was busy, I was surrounded by people, but I felt empty and I could not figure out why. I had things that other people wished for, and I still was not satisfied. It was not until I got honest with myself that I realized the problem. I was busy, but I was not purposeful. I was moving, but I was not progressing. I was surviving, but I was not living. And the moment I reconnected with my purpose, the moment I got back on the path that God had designed for me, everything shifted. The emptiness started to fill. The confusion started to clear. The energy started to return. Find out why you are here. That is the most important question you will ever answer. What do you want to do for a living? Not how much money do you want to make. Not what kind of house do you want to live in. Why are you here? What were you put on this earth to do? What problem were you created to solve? What gift were you given to share? When you answer that question and you start living in alignment with the answer, the emptiness disappears. The distraction loses its grip. The fog lifts. And suddenly you have clarity and an energy that no amount of sleep could ever give you. Purpose is the ultimate fuel. Everything else is a substitute. I want you to stop filling your time and start investing it. There is a difference between being busy and being productive. Busy is checking your phone every 5 minutes. Productivity is building something that matters. Busy is running in circles. Productivity is running toward a destination. Busy is motion. Productivity is progress. And most of you are so busy being busy that you have convinced yourself you are making progress when in reality you are just moving sideways. Stop confusing movement with advancement. They are not the same thing. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. How many times this week did you tell somebody the same sad story? How many times did you call your friend and go over the same argument, the same disappointment, the same betrayal in full detail? How many times did you replay the same failure in your head like a movie you have seen 1,000 times, but keep watching anyway? How many times did you rehearse the worst moment of your life as if repeating it would somehow change the ending? You are rehearsing the problem. You know it so well. You have got it memorized. You could perform it on a stage. You know every word, every scene, every detail of what went wrong. You know the time of day it happened. You know what they were wearing. You know exactly what they said and how they said it. You have studied the problem as if it were going to be on a final exam. You are an expert in what went wrong. But let me ask you this. How much time did you spend thinking about the solution? How much time did you spend mapping out your next move? How much time did you spend planning your comeback? How much time did you spend envisioning what your life looks like on the other side of this pain? Not much. Because your emotions have you so fixated on what happened that you cannot see what is happening. Your emotions have you looking in the rearview mirror while your blessings are on the road ahead. You cannot drive forward looking backward. Every time you tell the story of your pain, you relive the pain. Your brain does not know the difference between the event and the memory of the event. When you replay it in your mind, your body responds as if it has happened again. Your heart races. Your stomach tightens. Your mood drops. You are literally re-traumatizing yourself every time you rehearse the problem. You are reopening a wound that was trying to heal. And then you wonder why it still hurts. It still hurts because you will not let it close. You keep picking at it with your words and your thoughts and your conversations. I am not saying ignore what happened. I am saying stop living there. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and then redirect your energy toward the solution. What are you going to do about it? What is your next step? What is your plan? What is the vision for your comeback? Because everybody loves a comeback story. Everybody loves to see someone rise from the ashes. But you cannot rise if you keep rolling around them. Get up. Dust yourself off. And start rehearsing a different story. Rehearse the solution. Rehearse the comeback. Rehearse the moment you walk across that stage. Rehearse the moment you sign those papers. Rehearse the moment you open those doors. Rehearse the moment your children see you win and realize that quitting was never an option for their family. Whatever you rehearse the most is what is going to show up on the stage of your life. So stop rehearsing the tragedy and start rehearsing the triumph. Stop rehearsing the failure and start rehearsing the future. Your words have power. Your thoughts have power. Use them to build, not to destroy. People will forget what happened. They will never forget how you reacted. You can be completely right in a situation and still lose because of your reaction. You can win the argument and lose the relationship. You can prove